Hey, if you were watching my stream last night, you know that I was doing a bunch of science experiments on Dynasty Warriors 9. I actually spent several hours grinding, trying to get those rare fragments, and it actually ended up being a good thing, because now I was able to test out a bunch of builds. Now, the range fragments actually fix a lot of movesets. So if you want to see my build here, I've got this on because it has 2 slots. I do think that the fragment system is a little bit flawed or illogical. I feel like, you know, the best accessory should have more slots instead of the other way around. But having extra strength is never a bad thing, and I also have a pretty decent surplus of other fragments here, so I could easily make another one. So I've got 2 7% fragments, so I could easily run an opposite build, or an alternate build. And then the same thing with the Void Armor ones. I don't have any max 7% ones, that's as high as it'll go, but still good enough. Now, the problem with Yuri Lowell's moveset here was that his stun trigger, when he launches them in the air at the end of the string, a lot of times it would cause this weird, like, restand / tech out phase, or like condition or state, where they didn't actually get launched into the air. But I was able to fix that. I don't know if it was just a patch or not, but I was able to fix it simply by just putting more attack range on my weapons, or my fragment. So I've got a pretty decent amount of attack speed right now. So let's go find some dudes to fight. Now, before, you could not like have lightning on at all because it would make things screw up even more, but now it actually works just fine. Well, before that, like, almost never worked consistently. A lot of times it would just, like, randomly cause that weird state where it didn't work properly. I tested a number of characters. A couple of them actually got fixed quite a bit. I'm gonna try to get to all of them here. Do a little bit more Yuri Lowell gameplay here. The lightning's actually pretty good with him in general because of the how much faster you can get your attacks out and stuff. Especially once you charge up and you get his gimmick. But it wasn't really usable before because of the weird hitbox issues. So it was initially thought that having too much attack speed stacked was what was causing a lot of these new attacks to not work properly. But it ended up just being the hitbox, or the range was not... Maybe the hitbox was like altered or something when you used extra attack speed. So let me go ahead and switch to UA Jin. Gotta set him up again, hold on. I actually deleted a lot of my gems to fund all that farming I was doing over the weekend, so there's a lot less clutter in here. Now I don't feel bad about not editing this stuff out. Okay, so he's already got like 32% attack speed and lightning on as well, so... And I tested it actually does work with this. Alright, so let's go find him some dudes to fight. So the problem with this moveset, I actually talked about this back when the weapons came out a few weeks ago, but it was the knockdown trigger. A lot of times on officers, it would not work properly. And you can see just how much attack speed I have right now, and it's working fine. So all I had to do was just stack some range. Hey, you see how fast I'm doing it now, and they actually don't get, they don't restand anymore. Lightning isn't the best for damage, but I've always, you know, I am like an old school DFO player and stuff. I've always had an obsession with attack speed, so it's nice that you can actually play them like this now. So before I get to the next couple characters here, I wanted to go ahead and show how the system actually works. Now, I did not make a patch video because, like I said, I wasn't able to get any rare fragments, and Grow 870 had already put up a really good analysis of the patch, so I felt it was kind of redundant to make one, but over the time of farming, I was actually able to understand how this works. So for each successive or consecutive fragment you put in an accessory, the more money it will cost. Like if I took this one right here, this one would cost 300,000, the next one would cost more. So you need to have more than what it says here to if you want to do this build. Now, the build I'm using with all these characters is a pretty generic one. I have the Perfume of Swiftness on with the extra trigger attack. You could probably put on like a gold crown or something there, whatever you want. Or Heaven and Earth Gauntlets is an option as well. Now, I actually made 2 Heaven and Earth Gauntlets. One thing that this patch did is it actually made it there actually be a purpose to having more than one of these epic accessories. Before, you know, since you share them with all your characters, everyone has the same inventory. There was no reason to do that, but now, thanks to the fragment system, there actually is a good reason to do that. So, I have one with the gold crown fragment on. You can only get one of those, so it's better to put it on something you'll always be using. And then I have one with an extra damaged bag of wind fragment for the extra air dash. Now, if you haven't used the coin collector in a while, they actually gave this NPC a lot more relevancy in this latest patch. He has a lot of fragments here as well. None of these are too great, but ideally you're going to be crafting more accessories so that you have more, you know, more build variety. Like you can have a Heaven and Earth Gauntlets with Gold Crown, you can have one with Air Dash, you can have one with Trigger Attack, and you can kind of change things around as you see fit, which is not something we really had any kind of freedom with or flexibility with before. You were always very strapped for accessory slots, and there's not really a whole lot of chance to run any fun builds or anything because you only had 4 slots. But now, you know, you can take things like the Bag of Wind, the Gold Crown, and things like that, and you know, give yourself a little bit more variety. So let's go ahead and save, and I'll show some other characters. Now I actually I used the same stacking trigger attack build with Ling Tong. It actually is noticeable. like I said in my last video about this, it's pretty much irrelevant because he's getting decloned in like a month and a half, but if you want to play as him now, you want to level him up to get ready for that DLC, this is actually a way to make him far more playable. I think he has one of the worst aerial-enabled knockdown triggers in the game. I've played like almost every moveset in this game. His has like easily the worst hitbox. The string itself is not very great either. So let me make sure he's all set up here. Yeah, he's all good to go. And he's running a very similar build. Like that. That actually hit behind him, and that hit to his side as well. It definitely did not do that before. There's definitely characters that benefit from this more, but this actually makes this attack more usable. Now, Zhu Sheng also has the infamous toe hair hitbox on his knockdown trigger. I actually tested this and it was fixed as well. Now, he never had a problem with this attack hitting. It was mostly just the hitbox is not that generous. It wasn't like some of the other attacks like Li Dian and Yue Jin where it just straight up didn't work at all. It was more just an issue of it, just the initial trigger attack not having the best range. As you'll see here, I wish I did not have to set this up every time. Unfortunately, this is an aspect of the game that has not been improved. There's no way to like actually save your settings or anything. But as you'll see here, it actually does help quite a bit with him. So he's privileged enough to have an aerial-enabled knockdown trigger. There's definitely some of the most fun movesets in this game. And you can see it's actually hitting a much wider radius. The hitbox is way more generous. Like it hit from that distance. It definitely did not do that before. This is one where you have to talk to somebody. I don't want to do that right now. Let's get a regular fight. Alright, here we go. guy's the tech out god. He needs a raise. That actually seems to have more range too. Now this kind of puts me in a difficult spot. I definitely like how a lot of my favorite characters are far more playable now, but we still have not gotten that promised growth system that they were talking about a while ago, back when they did the original roadmap. That's when I hate fighting in the city. Of course it does this when I'm recording. Great AI here. The AI is actually vastly improved over the way it was when the game came out, but man, they still get stuck sometimes. But to be fair, the player does too. I get stuck on stuff all the time in this game. As soon as they stop talking and lets me save, I'll go ahead and I'll switch to the final character that I tested. Okay, so the last character I tested is him. If you've ever played as him before, you know that he has a very finicky hitbox. His launch trigger. Mostly because he moves a lot. Not only does he move a lot forward, he moves to the left and right, alternating as well. As cool as this attack looks, it is not very practical for actually launching an officer in a crowd because of how finicky the hitbox was. So luckily I already have a bunch of the gems on him, so I just need to do this one last time. Now, his improvement is not as drastic as Yue Jin and Li Dian, but it actually does make his launch trigger far more consistent. When it works, it was awesome, but it was very inconsistent. A lot of times it just would not work. Now, before that basically never happened. If you tried to hit them more than once, or even just once, sometimes it would very often get off center. Alright, so still not the most reliable attack. He didn't get as much of a drastic buff from this, but that's basically all the characters I tested. I'm not sure if I will really bother doing more since we're still waiting for the growth system and everything. But I may do a Yue Jin and Li Dian playthrough, and maybe I'll just alternate between them since they mostly seem to share the same missions. Anyway, that's it for today. If you want to go grind out those fragments, it's definitely worth it. Some of the characters actually benefit from it quite a bit. Thanks for watching. Peace. As soon as this cutscene loads, it's taking forever. Load times in this game, even on an SSD, are pretty slow. Especially when you're like going between chapters. Mina. Jeez, so many cutscenes. Alright, goodbye for real. I'll try to get out some more footage of the faked characters maybe later this week. Thanks for watching.